Hello everyone, it's Maha. Thank you so much for joining me once again. And I'm very excited today, everybody, because I want to share with you some things that I'm doing right now in astrology. I kind of wanted to make an update video just to let you know where I am in my astrology journey, talk about some of the things that I've recently discovered that I'm really loving and just really getting into. And I hope that you will be inspired to do your own research maybe on these topics and to have a discussion about them with me. So, first, before I get started, I wanted to show you something that I got in the mail the other day that I'm very excited about. Woohoo! Here it is. This is my MISPA certification. So in my last video, which I made, I think it was a while ago, I made a video talking sort of about my astrology journey, how I began learning it and why I went into it. And I'm going to link that video down below in the description box. And in that video, I also shared with you a certification that I got from the school I went to, the International Academy of Astrology, where I got my natal certification. And then I kind of talked about where I want to go next with my studies and what I plan to do. And I talked about this school where I got the certificate from, the Mercury Internet School of Psychological Astrology. This is a school that was, it's the diploma program founded by Liz Green, based in London. Liz Green is a psychological astrologer. She's renowned in this particular field. And she founded the Center for Psychological Astrology, which is affiliated with Mercury Internet School. And this is run by John Green. And I talked about this school because at the time, when I finished my studies with IAA, I was going to start my diploma program studies with them. And then I decided that it wasn't really going very deep into the psychological stuff that I really was interested in. I wanted to learn more about where you can see the shadows in the natal chart or the projections, and just looking into the deeper aspects of the personality, looking into transpersonal and depth psychology. That's all the stuff that I really was craving to learn more about. And I can't believe this was 2 years ago. I mean, I've already finished my certificate, which is this. And so I did 2 years of studies with the Mercury School, and I am about to get my diploma from them. So what I need to do now is an exam. I basically need to do an oral examination, and hopefully after passing that, I get awarded my diploma. And now I kind of want to talk about where I want to go with this whole journey, because the journey of learning astrology never stops. And I remember when I was first taking astrology in one of my first early classes, my teacher, she said to me that astrology is perfect for you because you're a Sagittarius and the learning just never ends with astrology. It's like one of those things that you can just keep learning and discovering. So lately I've been taking some, now that I finished my studies, I finished back at the end of May 2018, and I've kind of given myself a little break to sort of process and absorb everything before I do my diploma exam, and maybe just keep practicing, practicing reading charts more for clients, for friends, just looking at charts more so I can be more proficient at it before I do my exam, because I get very nervous when it comes to exam time. I always have been like this, and I also have to pay for it, so I don't want to waste my money. So I'm going to be taking some extra classes from an astrologer that I discovered last year while I was still attending MISPA classes. His name is Brian Clark. He's a Canadian astrologer, Canadian born, who has lived in Australia for many years. So he's based in Australia, and his work is just amazing. I mean, I think he's he is one of my favorite astrologers. I've read his books. I just respect and admire him so much. And I want to do some mentorship with him just to kind of, I feel like at this point in my astrology journey, I would really love to have a mentor. And I feel like I have found a perfect one for me. So I want to work with him one-on-one this year, and then just take some extra classes here and there. I have taken a couple of seminars with IAA, my old school. One of them was Karmic Astrology, and I'm currently taking 2 more. One of them is Orrery Astrology, and the other one is a class by Brian Clark. So I want to talk about those 3. Because originally when I had started studying astrology, I was very, very much interested in medical astrology. I didn't know much about it, but it just sounded so perfect for me. I've always been interested, I've taken a deep interest in health, and I've always loved the idea of correspondences, you know, how astrology and the stars and the planets are linked to parts of the body. And I've been really fascinated by medical astrology. Now, there's 2 different types of medical astrology. There is the traditional, and then there is the modern medical astrology. So traditional medical astrology is based more on casting a chart, which is called an orrery chart. Orrery, Horary, sometimes pronounced horary, comes from ora, Latin, meaning time or hour. So it's a chart that's cast at the exact time a particular question is asked. So this is a very traditional and ancient form of astrology that could be called astrological divination, where you can ask a question and the question can be answered by looking at a chart that's specifically made for the question. So traditional medical astrology works with that chart mainly, as well as the natal chart, and then just kind of looks for where the illness is and how it can be treated or cured with herbs, spiritual practices, crystals, and like wearing a particular crystal or stone, and the herbs and drinks and tinctures, alchemical tinctures. And that's traditional astrology, which I really love. I love the whole idea. I love the beauty and the symmetry of traditional astrology, so it is one thing I'm interested in. And then modern medical astrology explores more the psychological aspects of illness or disease. And it's more, you could say, preventative as opposed to curing. It's more looking at how to balance the energies in your chart. I mean, I haven't studied it yet, so I don't want to talk too much about that. I am, however, taking a medical astrology course coming up, a modern medical astrology course coming up very soon. Not through IAA, but through another school. And if you're interested, I will make a video about medical astrology more and talk about it more in depth, if you like, in the future. Once I feel a little bit more familiar with all these things. So I am doing that, but at the moment, right now, I have taken a short course, basic introductory course on karmic astrology. I wanted to talk about that, which is it's so cool. It's so amazing. I'm just so fascinated by it. And then I'm taking this course by Brian Clark, which is really amazing too. And I'm also going to be taking a few classes on orrery astrology, the divination aspect of astrology, which I was talking about, linked to asking a particular question and casting a chart for a particular question. So, karmic astrology. By the way, I had never heard of karmic astrology. Of course, I'd heard of evolutionary astrology, and for those of you who are new to astrology, there are different types of astrology. There are different, let's say, branches of astrology. There is the modern psychological, there's traditional ancient astrology, Hellenistic, which is similar. And then there is medical astrology, there is evolutionary astrology, shamanic astrology, and karmic astrology is different from all of these in that the main difference is that it does take into consideration the fixed stars. So evolutionary astrology is very similar to psychological astrology, but it operates on the idea of reincarnation and looks at the nodes of the moon looking at past lives and present, so karma, dharma, kind of where you are going in this life, where you're going towards, and where you've come from. And then also gives importance in evolutionary astrology to outer planets, so transpersonal planets, and how they're connected to the soul. Now, karmic astrology is all about the soul. So you are looking at the natal chart not through the lens of the personality. You're looking at the natal chart through the lens of the soul. So this is the soul's journey, the soul's story. You are looking at what lives the soul has lived, where it's gone. So it's all about the soul. And it works with the fixed stars, and the fixed stars have this element of destiny weaved into them. So when I took the seminar, I was just it really opened up my mind to a whole different world, and it kind of resonated, it resonated to something deep within me. Somehow I felt like everything was making sense. So what I want to do is I want to actually go to a karmic astrologer. I can't remember his name, but I can list it in the description menu. His first name, from what I remember, was Aleksandar. And he's based in Serbia. And so he talked about the fixed stars and seeing the age of the soul. The seminar was called The Age of the Soul. So looking at the chart, you can determine how old the soul is. And there are different stages, like the baby, young soul, the little baby soul, the young soul, that's two, and then the mature soul, and then the old soul. And you can also find the animal spirit guides that can work with you, that are wanting to work with you right now by looking at the chart. And it just seems so fascinating. It seems very deeply spiritual, and I'm all about the soul. If you've been watching some of my videos so far, you know that the soul is something that I really feel is I don't know, something that really calls to me to learn about the soul and connect with the soul. In my own birth chart, I have many planets in the houses of the soul, so I guess this is something that's always at the forefront of my life. It's something that I'm always drawn to, this aspect of existence. And so karmic astrology is something very unique that I hadn't come across. And I want to definitely do a reading, because I always feel like if I want to study something and dedicate my time, because it does take a long time to really study these things. And I always felt that I want to try it on myself first, kind of be the guinea pig, So I want to be experiencing it first before I decide to study it. And I also, in the beginning of the summer, discovered esoteric astrology, and I thought that was, and that's another branch altogether, whole different thing. Planetary signs have different planetary rulers, not at all similar to modern astrology. For example, I think Sagittarius is ruled by not Jupiter but Mars. I don't quote me on that, but it's just different rulerships, different things altogether, and that also is all about the soul. It's all about the soul, but in a different way. And for some reason, that one didn't seem to resonate with me in the same way as karmic astrology did. Like with karmic astrology, I just felt like that 1 hour, or was an hour and a half seminar, I was focusing the entire time. And that's kind of rare for me, because I do have this little bit of ADD in me that I can't always focus 100% when after a certain time, like after about 40 minutes, I start to kind of go off and, oh, what's that little bird? Get distracted. So I noticed that this class, this entire seminar, I was focused like 100%. I was just eating this stuff up. It just made so much sense to me. So karmic astrology, very excited about that. And then this class that I'm currently taking with Brian Clark is all about the soul and the illnesses of the soul. It's called, let me just find the curriculum because I want to read you something. So I just opened up my class curriculum and I want to read you what I am learning in this class, just the synopsis of the syllabus of the class. So the class is called Symptoms and the Soul, Emotional, Psychological, and Physical Well-Being. A 6-part series into the nature of astrology, disease, and healing. So I have the syllabus here. Class 1, we learned about the titles. I'm going to read you the titles. So, oh my gosh, it's just listen to the titles. You're going to love it. Class 1, Disease and Deity, When Illness is Divine. Wow. Like in this course, we're just learning to look at symptoms of the body in a completely new way. You know, for example, here, an astrological perspective on psyche and soma. So we talked about psychosomatic illness. Looking at it with this lens completely changes how we perceive psychosomatic illness. I want to read you this because it's so exciting to me. And I don't know if you are like me, you're going to be excited too. Astrology honors the continuity of the gods and disease. However, in contemporary terms, we think of these gods as archetypes, resident in the unconscious. These archetypes can be personalized through astrological symbols. Therefore, the ancient amalgam of disease and deity is a powerful metaphor when using astrological symbolism. So it's all about symbolism and seeing the picture, seeing the image in the chart, and how does that relate to what the body is trying to say. And in psychosomatic, psyche being the soul, and soma, the body, and the connection between the soul. So here it says all planetary archetypes are significant in healing because when their natural psychic expression is denied, compromised, or insincere, they are at risk of becoming expressed as a symptom, either through the body or the mind. We will astrologically explore the relationship between psyche and soma, or soul and body, exploring symptoms as archetypes, seeking recognition, introducing the planetary pantheon. Wow. I was just like, when I read this before taking the course, I hit the button right away. I'm taking this course. Then we have astrology and healing, planetary combination and dis-ease, timing of psychosomatic, and case studies. So yeah, I mean, it's just, this is the stuff that I'm loving. So this is very different from actual medical astrology. This is more looking at the soul. You know, what is the soul needing, and you know, what the, especially, you know, the kinds of illnesses that are mysterious or more hidden, invisible, as we call them in this class, invisible illnesses. You know, where do they come from? And there are messages of the soul. What is the soul trying to say? So those are just some of the things that we are covering in the class. I'm very excited about it. Already I've learned so much. Brian Clark is such an amazing human being with such a vast amount of knowledge and insight, and I can just never learn enough from him. Such a humble human, and I'm so happy that I discovered this course. We're also learning about Chiron and how that relates to the image of the chart, finding the soul's message, really, what the message is, how they're coming through the body, and how they relate to the natal chart, and also what's happening at the different times in our lives through transits. And I'm someone who's really with the school of thought of taking both the body into consideration, like the physical body, and not negating medical aspects, as well as the psychological. So really that mind-body connection and bridging the two is what makes sense to me and what I found works for me. And in this course I learned that there's the Hippocrates medical in the ancient times, where the school of Hippocrates, where they focused on the body and the physical aspects of illness. And then there was the Asclepius, which was more the divine, the spiritual school of healing. And when the patient went to the doctors, the medical doctors in the Hippocrates school, if they couldn't solve the issue, they couldn't fix the problem, then they would recommend and actually suggest that the patient goes to the Asclepius school of healing, or temple of healing, rather than school is temple. And I find that it's really different looking at illness in this lens, through this lens of divine, illness as divine. I mean, this is just an inquiry for all of us. How does that change how we see our symptoms? Looking at it through the lens of illness being divine. How does that change that? That's my inquiry into this, and my inquiry for this video for all of you. How does that change the meaning of psychosomatic illnesses for you when you think of the soul's message through the body? Psyche, the soul, soma, symptoms of the body. How does that change it? Doesn't it make it more graceful, more poetic? Which is, poetry is the soul's realm, right? Images and poetry. For those of us who are here, and those of us who work with tarot and stories, I think we understand. So that's what I wanted to share with you. It feels like it just went by so quickly, time, but I didn't want to take too much of your time today. I wanted to just give you a little update. And so, like I said, the video down below is where I started talking about my astrology journey a while ago. I kind of want to do like a sequential thing as I go along, and just kind of have them as sort of vlogs to, as I go through and discover things and learn things, to also share them with you. And so I am planning on getting my second diploma after this. Like I said, the learning never stops. So I will go back to IAA. I've decided now that I wanted to go back to IAA and continue with my diploma from them. 2 years ago, I felt that it was just not enough, and I was not interested in anything predictive. Whereas with IAA, they were more going towards predictive. You know, there was courses in the curriculum on horary astrology, like the divinatory aspect of astrology, which I was not interested in at all 2 years ago. But suddenly, you know, after learning more about psychological astrology, now I'm interested in integrating my knowledge to a little bit of predictive astrology, and combining them and seeing how I feel about it. And I think the more I know, the better. And I would never say that one school of astrology is wrong. I am always interested in learning the different types. And of course, if I do plan to do karmic astrology, I'll let you know. But for now, I am finishing my diploma with psychological astrology, and then I will continue with my second diploma, more I guess concrete astrology, and then combining the two, and then hopefully going into karmic astrology in the future if I feel that it worked for me, and it was if I feel the same about it in the future as I do now. So thank you so much for being with me. It was exciting to share all this with you, and as always, I'm sending you lots of love, many, many blessings, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, everyone. Mwah. Kisses. Bye.